Hi, I'm Gareth Dyton, and I'm joined today by episode 8, and we're here to talk about this fantastic album from this Western Supermare duo. It's going to be released by SWND Records. And I suppose I was going to ask you about the origin of the last track, which of course is your excellent cover of Wicked Game. But you've already stated that the band is named after like sort of a Twin Peaks kind of moment. So I suppose it makes sense to have covered Chris Isaak.
I think it's inevitable. I think it's one of those things that, because you've done it before, haven't you? It was your track originally, I believe. And had you done it, or?
I don't know. I mean, I mess around with covers. I don't always do anything with them. I just kind of quite like doing them. I can't remember. If this is one that I'd messed around with, or whether you'd started it.
I started to do it, and I think I tried something, I sent to you, said, oh, it's not quite right. So then I tried to change it again. I think by the fourth time you coming back to me saying it's not quite right, and me basically going from a sort of version of Wicked Game to a completely different track, I think you then went away and just recorded your own version, sent me that, and then I built around that. I sort of, I think you sent the electric piano and the vocals, and I thought that worked well on its own, but I just tried to add some sort of percussion to it and sort of, I'd love listening to cover versions where it takes you a while to realise what the actual song is.
Yeah.
And I tried to do that with the intro to this, in the sense of it starts off as something. There's something in the background that might sound familiar, with a bass or something like that. But then as soon as the piano, the electric piano comes in, you sort of almost like,
Yeah. And then, because I remember the first time I heard it, I kind of listened to it. I had it on in the car, and of course you sent me the file, so it was on my iPod. And my car doesn't tell me the names of the tracks; it just kind of plays through things. And it came on, and I was thinking, I know this song. And to the extent I found myself singing along to it, because it had that familiarity to it. And believe me, that's a version you do not want to put it on. At all is actually kind of me and Maddie singing together. No chance at all. But it had that kind of familiarity, and I liked the pace you had in it and the tone you had in it. And then the kind of electric piano came in, and I was like, it's Wicked Game. And it took me those kind of 30, 45, 60 seconds to kind of just really enjoy the track and kind of really kind of get into it without necessarily realizing what it was. I knew it. I said, as a music listener and as quite an avid kind of listener, it kind of annoys me when people do cover versions that sound exactly the same as the original, because I kind of think, well, why bother? I quite like the notion of doing somewhere between a cover version and a remix at the same time. And I think it's important that bands who do covers should bring some of their own
Yes, I agree.
Stamped to that track. Otherwise, kind of what's the point? It's a case of you've actually got the same song just sung by 3 or 4 different bands, and I've never quite understood that. I think a classic example of that for me is the China drum version of Wuthering Heights, who turned Kate Bush's beautiful kind of ode to Heathcliff into a 3.5-minute punk song where you've got some bald Geordie drummer screaming Heathcliff halfway kind of through it. But I really like the fact that it's completely different to the original, and they've definitely gone and put their own stamp on it. And I felt you guys certainly put your own stamp on actually kind of Wicked Game. And I think it's probably it's definitely up there with kind of one of my favorite cover versions. I really like it. It's such a beautiful version of it.
Well, it's done then. So.
You can pack up and go home now, Ian. You're on.
We'll just live off the royalties for that, or Chris Isaak.
Well, Chris Isaak will probably live off the royalties. You'll actually probably get sort of performance fees, which kind of not as much as the royalty fee. Really.
Or sued, one of the two. You've got to weigh it up.
Well, yeah.
Publicity.
Or actually sort of both even,
Brilliant.
Okay, so there we are. We've just had a track-by-track rundown of In Hushed Tones by Episode 8, by Episode 8 themselves, with a little bit of sideline and meandering chat from myself. You should all go out there, you should all listen to this album, you should buy it, and you should make these people rich and famous. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to say, Gareth, thank you very much for the support you've given us over the last couple of years, playing our tracks and sort of championing our circuit. It's really appreciated.
And there's kind of one reason why sort of I do that, and that's because it's good. And two reasons. The first one is because it's very good, and the second one is because I like it very much. I've never played anything on my show or championed anything that I dislike. I feel quite lucky in the fact that the radio stations I've worked for have never ever given me a playlist. Basically, what I put out is what I actually want to put out. So if you make it onto the show, then it means I like you. It's as simple as that, and kind of I think that's kind of a really good mantra to have, is kind of like sort of a radio persona.
Yes, I agree. I think on one of your podcasts, I can't remember who it was now, was saying about the radios and saying the fact that it's become more about the DJ rather than the music. And I think your show does is that it champions sort of local and sort of new artists. The amount of bands that I've never heard of that I hear on your station suddenly become sort of fans of, it's good. So keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
I give you permission to keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Well, a massive thank you to Ian and Maddie for sort of asking me to actually kind of talk to them and to tell you lovely people out there about their fantastic album In Hushed Tones. If you've enjoyed actually kind of listening to us chatting, you can find me. Like I said, I'm the co-host on a podcast I do with Grammy Award-winning music producer Lord Toby Wright. It's called My Right Stuff, and there's new episodes out every fortnight, and you can find us on YouTube or wherever you get your quality podcast entertainment from. Take care, no stop.